All right, Ravens flock, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. So, after a long, lengthy search, the Ravens have finally come to a decision as to who will be our next offensive coordinator. They have decided to sign Todd Monken to be our offensive coordinator. This is an interesting signing. Now, for me, I don't really have much of a reaction right now because I wasn't really expecting this. I will actually be talking about this a little bit later tonight, so I'll discuss it then because I want to take the time to kind of look at his whole coaching history and look at the type of offense he was running during this time and his experience, because he has a lot of coaching experience. Yeah, so I'll definitely be talking about that later on tonight. But in terms of some of the experience he has, he's been coaching for a long time. He's 57 years old. He's coached both in the NFL and in college football. Obviously, if you are a Georgia fan, you know who Todd Monken is. That is probably his biggest accomplishment as a coach. He was the offensive coordinator for Georgia from 2020 to 2022, and during that time, Georgia was able to win 2 national championships. They had a really high-octane offense, especially this previous year. Of course, their defense was great, and that team as a whole was fantastic, filled with talent. But his offense was a huge part in turning that team around and turning them into the 2-time national champions that they are. So he accomplished a lot with his offense. He's had success at the highest level in college, and yeah, he seems to be a very interesting hire. Now, the personnel they were running in college is kind of similar to the personnel we were running. Now, they were running 12 personnel where they would utilize 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers. We run 13 personnel for the most part because we utilize Patrick Ricard. So I'm interested to see how he's going to try to do that here and how Patrick Ricard will be used on this team because he is a huge asset that they use in the offense. That's what they've been doing for the last several years. But, you know, the whole 2 tight end, 2 wide receiver scheme and that system, that's pretty much what we've been running for such a long time. We utilize 2 tight ends and we utilize 2 receivers. We're not the type of team that's going to put 3 or 4 wide receivers out there straight up. That's not really what we do. So in terms of his scheme and the system he runs, he actually fits in with what the Ravens are looking for. So it makes sense as to why they would make this hire. But the biggest attribute to him is how well balanced his offense is in terms of being able to run the ball effectively, but being able to come up with a creative passing scheme that works and being able to utilize the talent around him. So we'll see if he can do that for us here. I don't want to go too much into this because, again, there's not much for me to say right now. I want to take a full look at his coaching history and look at how the offenses looked when he was there. In terms of his time in the pros, he started out as a wide receiver coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars back in 2007. He was there for 3 years. From 2007 to 2010, he was a Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver coach. So obviously he has experience with working and developing wide receivers. So that is definitely a positive because we do have others on the coaching staff, such as a T. Martin that has experience working with wide receivers, and Keith Williams also has experience as well. So you got guys that understand the passing game and have experience working with wide receivers. Adding him to be our offensive coordinator is going to be a positive, at least in terms of that aspect, or you would hope for it to be a positive. So yeah, he started out as a wide receiver coach from 2007 to 2010 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then he ended up becoming an offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In fact, for the first 2 years, because he was there for 3 years, for the first 2 years, 2016 and 2017, he was the offensive coordinator and the wide receiving coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which means he definitely was there coaching Mike Evans. So this should be very interesting. I cannot wait to see how those offenses looked during that time because I don't really have the numbers in front of me right now. But yeah, so from 2016 to 2017, he was both the offensive coordinator and the wide receiver coach for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then in 2018, he just took over straight up as the offensive coordinator. They probably found another wide receiver coach, so he just became just the offensive coordinator. So he was there for 3 years as the primary play caller for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. And, he had to work with both Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick. And if you saw how those offenses looked, you would understand that the offense, first of all, they had talent, but secondly, they were very high octane with the passing game. It's just the turnovers were killer. We all knew Jameis had a turnover problem. So I actually got to see the numbers and see how their passing game and how their offense ranked in terms of the league during that time. But with those Tampa Bay Buccaneer teams, defense was an issue, and Jameis turning the ball over was their primary issue. So that was something they had to work to develop over the last several years. But yeah, during that time, their passing game seemed to be great. It was their defense that was an issue. But I want to take a look at the numbers before I make a full assessment. And then after 2018, he ended up joining the Cleveland Browns staff. He was the offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns during the 2019 season. Now, this is very interesting because if you know about the 2019 Cleveland Browns, you would know their offense was not great, and it kind of crashed and burned. That was the year Baker Mayfield threw 21 interceptions, and it looked awful. Now, the thing about it that's very interesting is I've seen a lot of people say that, especially I've heard from some Brown fans say this as well, but I've heard a lot of people say that Todd really wasn't the play caller. That was Freddie Kitchens' offense. Everybody sat back and recognized that was Freddie Kitchens' offense. He was the play caller during that year. So Todd isn't really he wasn't really the one responsible for how that offense was looking. That was just Freddie Kitchens' system that they was running. I guess he was an offense coordinator there, but he wasn't the primary play caller. Whatever Freddie Kitchens wanted in the play calling is whatever he chose to run. So that's a very interesting one. Then after 2019, obviously, he went on to Georgia, where he would be the offensive coordinator of 2 national championship teams. So that's good on him for that. So his history is definitely there. I want to take a look at the numbers in terms of how he was in the NFL. I want to look at the wide receiving room those 3 years in Jacksonville. I want to take a look at the offense when he was with the Buccaneers, and I just want to get a good gauge and assessment. I'm also going to take a look at how the offense was fully running in Georgia over the last 3 years that he was there as an offensive coordinator. So yeah, I'm gonna be spending the day trying to look at that whenever I have time, because I'm at work right now. But like whenever I do have the opportunity, I'll be taking a look at that, trying to gather the numbers. And then when I get home later on tonight, I'll be able to make a proper assessment, and we'll make a video and we'll talk about that then. But this was just something to discuss about the initial reaction to him being signed. Now, of course, for me, this guy was not on my radar. I talked about Brian Leftwich. I talked about Frank Wright, who ended up becoming a head coach, so congrats to him. Obviously, we talked about Eric Bieniemy, which was a big number one on my list, but seems like it's not going to happen. And we were also hearing talks about the Ravens trying to see if they can get the quarterback coach from the Philadelphia Eagles. So there was definitely a lot of interviews, a lot of time. There was several people on my list. Todd was not one of these individuals on my list, so honestly, I don't know much about him besides him being the offensive coordinator for Georgia, who won the 2 national championships, because, I thought we saw it. So, like, past that, I didn't really know much about this guy's coaching history, so I want to take that time to, like, properly look at it and be able to give a proper assessment as to what he brings to the table for the most part. So, yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say right now, because I haven't gotten a full assessment. I can't gauge whether or not he's going to be a good signing or turn out to be bad. I can't really make that assessment. I'll say this for one, he's definitely better than Greg Roman. His accomplishments are already there. He's definitely better than Greg Roman, so we don't even have to have those type of debates right now. So if you're looking at the offensive coordinator position, just know this is most certainly an upgrade, because in terms of play calling, he's better than Greg Roman. In terms of making adjustments, he can do it, whereas Greg Roman can't. His offense doesn't have issues with constantly causing these same old penalties. And one thing that's awesome is he is able to he's better situationally. He's better situationally as an offensive coordinator. So that's definitely a benefit. But we'll see where it goes. Anyway, I'm going to cut it here. I'll see you guys later on tonight. We'll talk about it then and get a full assessment and see how we feel then. Until then, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. And with that being said, that is all I've got. And I'm out of here, man. Peace.